Here is a fact that quietly cost millions of investors like you tens of millions of dollars. Over 90% of actively managed mutual funds globally failed to beat a simple index fund over the last 10 years. Once you understand why, you will make dramatically smarter investment choices starting today. What if I told you that there is a way to invest in hundreds of companies simultaneously, with as little as $500 per month, managed by professional fund managers who spend their entire working lives analyzing businesses, all without you needing any knowledge of how to pick stocks? That is exactly what mutual funds offer. And today on Daksha Luma, we are covering how SIP works, a beginner's guide from the very beginning to the advanced level. This video is for you if you have heard about mutual funds but are not completely sure how they work. It is for you if you have already started investing but want to make sure you are doing it right. And it is absolutely for you if you have been putting this off because it felt too complicated. I promise you, by the time we finish today, how SIP works, a beginner's guide will feel completely clear and manageable. Stay with me till the end because I have a real rupee example that will show you the staggering difference that starting early versus starting late makes to your retirement corpus. The numbers are genuinely life-changing. Here is the situation that millions of educated, intelligent, hard-working yours find themselves in every single year. They know they should be investing. They have heard about mutual funds. They may have even downloaded an investing app. But they have not started yet, or they started and then stopped, because the options feel overwhelming. Should you choose equity or debt? Large cap or mid cap? Direct or regular? Growth or dividend? SIP or lump sum? The number of choices is paralyzing, and most people end up making no decision at all. Or worse, they take advice from a bank relationship manager who steers them toward high-commission regular plans that eat into their returns for years. There is also a second problem. Many people who have been investing for years are doing so in inefficient ways. They might be in regular plans instead of direct plans, losing 0.5 to 1% of returns every year to distributor commissions. Over 20 years, that difference compounds into hundreds of thousands of dollars of lost wealth. How SIP works, a beginner's guide is the key that unlocks clarity in all of this. Let me give you the complete picture. Ha! And you know what genuinely made me laugh the first time I understood this properly? The solution is not complicated. It is actually really simple. So simple that once you see it, you will wonder why nobody explained it to you years ago. But here is where I have to pause for a second. Because this is also the part that honestly made me sad. Genuinely sad. Because millions of people are missing this every single day. Not because they are not smart. Not because they do not care about their money. Simply because nobody ever sat down and explained it to them clearly. Well, that changes right now. Let me walk you through it step by step. Let us build a solid understanding of how SIP works, a beginner's guide from first principles. A mutual fund is a pooled investment vehicle. Thousands of investors contribute money into a common fund. A professional fund manager uses that pooled money to buy a diversified portfolio of assets according to a specific stated investment objective. The NAV, which stands for net asset value, represents the per unit value of the fund on any given day. When the underlying investments go up in value, the NAV rises. When they fall, it falls. There are several broad categories of mutual funds you need to know for how SIP works, a beginner's guide. Equity mutual funds invest primarily in stocks. They are designed for long-term wealth creation, typically 5 years or more, and carry higher short-term volatility. Within equity funds, there are multiple subcategories. Large cap funds invest in the top 100 companies. These are the most stable equity funds with historical returns of approximately 12 to 14% annually over long periods. Mid-cap funds invest in companies ranked 101 to 250. More volatile but higher growth potential. Small-cap funds invest in companies ranked 251 and beyond. High risk, high reward. Flexi-cap and multi-cap funds give the fund manager freedom to invest across all categories. Tax-saving funds, or equity-linked savings schemes, are equity funds with a 3-year lock-in period that also provide a tax deduction under tax-advantaged accounts up to $1,500,000 per year. Index funds passively track an index like S&P 500 or S&P 5000. They have no active management, which means extremely low costs and historically strong long-term returns. Debt mutual funds invest in government securities, corporate bonds, and money market instruments. They are lower risk and suitable for short-term goals of 1 to 3 years. Returns are typically 6 to 9% annually, better than savings accounts but lower than long-term equity returns. Hybrid funds combine equity and debt in different proportions. Conservative hybrid funds are roughly 25% equity and 75% debt. Aggressive hybrid funds are the reverse. These are good for moderate risk investors who want some equity upside with some stability. Now, the single most important concept for how SIP works, a beginner's guide that most people get wrong. Direct plans versus regular plans. Every mutual fund globally comes in 2 versions. The regular plan includes a distributor commission that is paid from your invested money every year. This reduces your returns. The direct plan has no distributor commission. You invest directly through the AMC or a direct platform. The expense ratio on direct plans is typically 0.5 to 1.2% lower per year than regular plans. On a 100,000 rupee investment over 20 years at 12%, that 1% difference in expense ratio results in a difference of approximately $2,400,000 in final corpus. Always choose direct plans. SIP versus lump sum for how SIP works, a beginner's guide. A SIP, or systematic investment plan, is an automated monthly investment of a fixed amount. It gives you the benefit of rupee cost averaging. When markets fall, your fixed rupee amount buys more units. When markets rise, it buys fewer. Over time, your average cost per unit is lower than the average market price, which improves returns. SIPs also remove the psychological challenge of trying to time the market. A lump sum investment works well if you have a large amount ready and markets are at a reasonable valuation. For most people, however, SIP is the better approach because it is disciplined, automatic, and works with any income level. Let me walk you through a real-year example that makes the power of how SIP works, a beginner's guide completely vivid. We have 2 people, Rahul, who starts investing at 25, and Amit, who waits until 35. Both invest the same $5,000 per month. Both earn the same 13% annual return in their equity mutual funds. Both stop investing at age 60 when they retire. Rahul starts at 25, 35 years of SIP. Total invested, 5,000 multiplied by 12 months multiplied by 35 years equals $2,100,000. Final corpus at age 60, approximately $3.210 million. Amit starts at 35, 25 years of SIP. Total invested, 5,000 multiplied by 12 months multiplied by 25 years equals $1,500,000. Final corpus at age 60, approximately $9,500,000. Rahul ends up with $3.210 million. Amit ends up with $9,500,000. Rahul invested only $600,000 more than Amit, but he has $2.2510 million more in retirement wealth. That is the cost of 10 years of waiting. Now let us look at the direct versus regular plan comparison using the same numbers. If Amit had invested his $5,000 per month in a regular plan with a 1.2% higher expense ratio, his $9,500,000 corpus would instead be approximately $7,800,000. The 1,700,000 rupee difference went silently to distributors over 25 years. For how SIP works, a beginner's guide, here is a simple beginner portfolio that works extremely well. Allocation 1, 50% into an S&P 500 index fund. This gives you stability and broad market exposure at the lowest possible cost. Allocation 2, 30% into a flexi-cap or mid-cap fund for additional growth potential. Allocation 3, 20% into tax-saving fund for tax saving under tax-advantaged accounts. Total monthly SIP starting at $500 for each category means you begin with $1,500 per month. As your income grows, scale all 3 proportionally. Review your portfolio once every 6 months. Rebalance once per year if your allocation has drifted by more than 10 percentage points from your targets. That is all the maintenance this portfolio needs. Here is exactly what to do in the next 24 hours for how SIP works, a beginner's guide. Step 1. Choose your platform. Your broker, and your broker all offer direct mutual fund plans with zero commission. Avoid bank relationship managers who push regular plans. Step 2. Complete your KYC if you have not already. You need your tax ID and national ID for the eKYC process. It takes 10 to 15 minutes and is a one-time requirement. Step 3. Select your first fund. For absolute beginners, the UTI S&P 500 Index Fund Direct Growth or MIRI Asset Large Cap Fund Direct Growth are excellent starting points. Step 4. Start your first SIP. Even $500 per month is a real start. The habit is more important than the amount when you are beginning. You can always increase it later. Step 5. Set up auto debit from your savings account so the SIP amount deducts automatically every month on the 5th or 10th. You will never miss it once it is automated. Step 6. Ignore the NAV fluctuations for at least the next 12 months. The short-term volatility is completely normal and is actually your friend if you are investing regularly. That is your complete roadmap for how SIP works, a beginner's guide. If you implement just these 6 steps, you will be ahead of 80% of investors like you by next week. Please like this video if it gave you clarity. Share it with one person in your family who has been putting off starting their investment journey. You could genuinely change someone's financial future today. Subscribe to Daksha Luma for new finance education content every single day. I will see you in tomorrow's video. Invest well. Before you go, I have one small request. If this video gave you even a single insight that you can apply to improve your finances, please hit that subscribe button right now and tap the bell icon. That is the only way YouTube will notify you when our next video goes live. And honestly, every single day we publish a brand new finance education video right here on Daksha Luma. Completely free. No paywalls, no courses to buy. Topics like investing, mutual funds, tax saving, budgeting, and everything in between, all explained simply and practically for you like you and me. If you have questions, drop them in the comments below. I read every single one and reply to as many as I can. Your financial future is absolutely worth investing this time in. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you tomorrow, right here on Daksha Luma. Take care of your money.